Hello and welcome to PMCLounge.com. My name is Shoaib and I have a special guest with me today. His name is Amrish. Amrish, thank you so much for joining us and taking the time out.
Thank you very much, sir, for having me here. Pleasure to be here.
Okay, so Amrish has recently cleared his PMI-ACP exam, and that is why I wanted him to join in and kind of share his experience. But before that, Amrish, would you like to brief us about your career and what you do and stuff like that?
Sure. I am a program manager with one of the health insurance organizations, MNC health insurance organizations. I work in Dubai. Uh, I have been doing project and program management. My expertise is in program and project management, quality management, continuous improvement, process improvement. So that has been my career path for the last 17, 18 years of my professional life. And yeah, project management happens to be my expertise as well as my area of passion. And I'm a humble student of this vast ocean called project management. So yeah, that's a little brief about me.
Superb, superb. So, what made you take up the ACP certification? I know you're already PMP and PGMP certified. I could check that from your LinkedIn. But specifically, this ACP, the agile side of thing, what made you take this up?
Good question, Shoaib. So before I answer it directly, let me kind of go back a step back and give my two pences on what I think of agile. I view agile not just as a certificate. So agile is more of a mindset.
Mhm.
Uh, the moment we say agile, uh, we talk about adaptability, we talk about flexibility, we talk about being open to change, we talk about the servant leadership. That is something which is key in agile. So these are things which you have to imbibe in your life. You have to imbibe not only in your work life, if possible you can do it in your personal life as well. It just makes life a bit more structured. You approach life, the problems that you face in life in a very, very structured manner, and you have a logical thinking behind anything and everything that you do. That's what agile teaches you. It's good to have a certification that a body like PMI recognizes that, okay, you are now eligible to get a certificate, which means that you know what PMI ACP or the standards of PMI ACP is. So I had this in mind for a very long time after I did my PgMP to finish my agile certification. I have been working in an agile environment in my professional life, so it just made more sense to go ahead and get a stamp out of it. So yeah, that was one of the motivations for me to go ahead for the certification.
Excellent, excellent. So, when it comes to Agile, I know the ACP, and we'll talk about it as well. ACP covers a lot of areas of Agile, and there are certain certifications out there, like let's say certified Scrum Master, which will only touch upon the Scrum side of Agile. So, and then there's Safe Scaled Agile, which will talk about the scaled Agile and how you implement that and stuff like that. So, there are different agile related certifications out there. Any specific reason you picked up ACP if you're not already certified with all these other certifications that I spoke of?
No, I am also a certified safe agilist, but that point aside,
Hmm.
uh, see, as you rightly pointed out, there are many certifications which are out there, and with due respect to all of them, uh, when we talk about Scrum Master certification, which is generally given out by the Scrum Alliance, and there are other official bodies that also give you a Scrum Master certification, it talks about just one particular way of implementing Agile, which is Scrum. But Agile is not only Scrum. Agile is a lot more, wide area. It covers a lot more other things. There is extreme programming. There is DSDM. There is Kanban. There are so many other things which also are a part of Agile. What ACP does is ACP is something which is tool agnostic. I mean, it just gives you an overview of all these various tools or all these various ways by which you can implement Agile,
Mhm.
but it gives you an end-to-end journey as to what you should be doing. Not so much emphasis on the tool, but on the methodology itself, what you should be doing in making your organization or in making your process agile. So that's what kind of differentiates ACP from some of the other certifications. Second, I have a soft corner for PMI. I really respect that organization. So yeah, makes sense to get certified and get recognized by that.
PMI forever. But yeah, so we have PMP certification, PGMP certification, and they are basically industry agnostic. They are not really focusing so much on the IT industry or the IT organizations only. Although we do see, and over at PMC Lounge, we do know that a lot of people that go for PMP and PGMP come from IT industry itself, the IT organizations itself. What do you think about ACP? Because this is specifically agile. And I know there's a heated debate out there if you go and say that, agile can be applied to any industry. And then some people would say, no, 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 this is specific to IT industry. What do you think when you were studying for the ACP? Do you think this certification is industry agnostic, or this can be applicable to every other industry out there?
Yeah, it is industry agnostic. It is applicable and can be applied and implemented across any industries.
Mhm.
Having said that, I completely agree with what you said earlier that there is a heated debate out there saying that ACP or Agile, for that matter, is more suited towards IT. It's not suited towards a more brick and mortar kind of industry, like let's say a construction industry
Mhm.
or a manufacturing kind of a setup. You don't really do Agile in those kind of setup. So I mean, I listen to all points of views, and I do respect all points of views. Everybody is entitled to their point of views, and maybe they have good reason to air them out. But I look at this, and I always give this example of this debate. I always kind of relate it to a debate between uh, a homeopathy and an allopathy way of treating patients. So even there's a lot of debate, and I'm not using the word traditional or conventional medicine and traditional, because what is traditional to me could be conventional to someone else. So I'm just using names: allopathy and homeopathy, two very different modes of treatment, but their objective is the same. The objective is that patients should get well, and that's exactly what you can compare between a waterfall method and an agile method. At the end of the day, it wants the work to be done, and to be done successfully, and to be done in time, and to be done within cost, and to be done within scope and quality and all of that. It's just that the path is different. So agile has its own strengths. Waterfall has its own strengths. To all the people who are debating out there, agile is neither is agile your baby, not nor is waterfall model your baby. So take the good from the both of it, and then apply it in whichever way you feel suits you. So that's how I look at it.
Love it, love it. Love the analogy also. So let's talk more about the ACP exam itself. Let's focus on the exam. So how much time did you take to, prepare for the exam, and what were the resources that you used, the books, and how much did you study every day?
Right. So to begin with, the only resource which I kind of relied heavily on is Mike Griffith.
Mhm.
That's the Bible for ACP. PMI-ACP. If you're attempting PMI-ACP, you cannot not do a Mike Griffith.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people who have told me that they have not read Mike Griffith and still have cleared it. Hats off to them. But that, I think, is slightly risky. So to anybody who's planning to appear for a PMI-ACP, my sincere recommendation to them would be have Mike Griffith, read it at least twice, if not thrice. It's an interesting book. Uh, you don't have to really, unlike the PM book, which kind of gets boring because it's not literature. It's a methodology book. Mike Griffith has made the agile. He has broken down the entire concepts of agile in a very enjoyable manner. Things which you can relate to. There are a lot of examples. There are a lot of exercises that you can actually attempt as you read through the book. So you will enjoy reading it. A couple of readings later, and you don't have to really, yeah, you don't have to memorize anything. Just do a reading, a normal reading. You might think that, and it's a thick book, by the way. It's close to around 650 odd pages. Don't look at the thickness of the book. Just go through it and as you would go through it, you would start enjoying the book, and you will start registering the concept, which you will feel that you have really registered when you do your third reading. So that's one of the key things. If you can get PMI ACP exam simulator, that's also another resource which I would really recommend.
Mhm.
There are a lot of you know online exams which are there. Take all of them with a pinch of salt, because what happens is that anybody can jumble up a set of 180 questions and 120 rather 120 questions and form a question bank. But does it really adhere to the PMI standard of things? That is something which one needs to be really careful about. So I think instead of really investing your time and effort and money in searching for question banks, uh, do microfit. If you have PMI ACP simulator, do that. I think that's more than enough. There
Right.
is another book by Sumantra Boral.
Mhm.
That's also something which I can recommend only if you have time. If you are looking at a time frame of next 30 days, stick to microfilm. If you are looking at 30 to 90 days, maybe a Sumantra Boral in between could also help, because that's
Mhm.
also a very interesting book.
Okay. And then how much study was required? How much did you study for the exam?
So, as I said, I did three readings, and this was over a period of, I would say, 45 days. So, depended how your day was going and how much time you could dedicate in a day. Uh, but if you can at least dedicate half an hour every day, if not more, half an hour, dedicated agile meditation, I would say, would really help. And I think 30 days is a good time frame, so when one can, from the day he or she logs in his app or her application to the time he or she appears for the exam and cracks the exam, 30 days is a good time frame.
Mhm. Great. Yep. I think that will be helpful to a lot of folks watching this video. And let's talk more about the specifics of the exam. So you're now prepared, you're now in. How about the exam? How many questions are there in the exam? How much time do they give you to solve those questions? Are there any breaks in between?
Right. So before you even attempt to, appear for the exam or start preparing for it, there are a couple of resources which PMI gives out, and this is free of cost. You don't even have to be a member. Anybody can download them. That's the PMI ACP handbook,
Mhm.
which gives you all the information about what this exam is all about, how many questions, what are the various domains, what is the weightage, what is the number of questions in each domain. So everything is given. I would strongly recommend anybody who's wanting to prepare for this exam to go on pmi.org, go to certifications, go to PMI ACP certification, and from there you will have a downloadable PMI ACP handbook and PMI ACP presentation. Download both of them, go through them very thoroughly, even before starting your preparation. But to answer your question specifically, it's a 120 question exam spread over a period of 210 minutes. So that is your 3.5 hour exam time. Uh, there are two ways of appearing for the exam. Uh, you can appear physically. There are actually three ways. Nobody talks about the third one, but just because if we are putting out facts, let's put them right. So there are three ways of appearing for the exam. The first way is the traditional physical exam, where generally Pearson View is the vendor who administers this exam for PMI. So you, whichever location you are, choose the nearest PMI, choose the nearest Pearson View uh, exam center where you can go and appear. The second way, and that is catching up very heavily, is the proctored way, wherein you can appear for the exam from the confines of your home or office. And the third way, which again, as I said, nobody talks about, is actually a paper-based exam. So PMI says that if within, I think it's 500, yeah, if within 500 kilometers of where you reside, if there is no Pearson View Center, then you are eligible for asking for a paper-based exam wherein PMI would send you a test paper and you can answer and all of that. But let's talk about the third because that's what people are opting for nowadays, all because of this COVID situation, because of the COVID situation and all of that. So, proctored is where you appear for the exam on your own, system. So there is a thorough check that happens, both from a technical point of view as well as from a surrounding point of view. So they will first test your system whether it matches the technical credentials for administering or loading the exam. If that is found to be okay, you would have to have a webcam. It could be an inbuilt camera or it could be an external camera where you have to show a 360. You have to take pictures, 360-degree view pictures of where you are going to appear for the exam and upload it on the Pearson View link that they will provide. After you have uploaded that link, you would not be allowed to leave that particular spot or particular location of which you have uploaded the photograph. So, which would mean that you cannot change rooms. You have to be seated in that room, and they check that uh, randomly while you're answering questions. There could certainly be a Pearson View person who would say, if you could please show what is there on the table on which you have kept your system, or what is there under the table, or beside you, or behind you. So there could be random things. So they try to uphold the integrity of the exam, and that is very important. So yeah, there are no designated breaks. You are not allowed to be out of sight. The webcam should be switched on throughout the duration of the exam, and you're not supposed to go out of frame of the webcam. If you go out of frame of the webcam, your exam is going to be cancelled. Your test will be cancelled. So yeah, that's how it is. Uh, there could be an unlikely event of a technical problem that you might face in this 3.5 hours of your exam time. If that happens, the Pearson View person would give you a call on a mobile, which you have to provide, and they will call you and they will tell you about what the next steps are, which could either be that you reboot your system and your test gets refreshed or reloaded from where you had stopped it, or in the scenario where you tell them that it is not possible to continue with the test for whatever technical reason, then they would take it a call to either reschedule your test or whatever is the next best option available.
Okay. Yeah, I think a lot of details there. Thank you so much for sharing all these details. I think that is again extremely helpful. I will also share a link in the description to the ACP handbook. I think we've done that in one of our previous videos as well. And I'll also
Right.
share some of the links on the books that we mentioned in the course of this video. Now, overall, let's talk about the difficulty level. We all know PMP is extremely difficult, and I shouldn't say extremely, but yeah, generally as compared to other certifications, PMP is considered difficult. Where would you rate ACP certification?
I generally don't answer this question whenever my peer group or people who want to appear for this exam, they ask me, how would you compare between PMP and ACP? Uh, but for an academic purpose, if I have to really make a comparison on a scale of 1 to 10, uh, I would put one being the easiest and 10 being the least easiest. Let's call it that way. Uh, I would want to keep it positive and not use a negative phrase. I would put PgMP at say around 8.
Mhm.
Uh, PMP I would put it at 5, 5 to 6.
Mhm.
Uh, ACP I would put it at 3, 4.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I
Having
think.
said that, it does not mean that you can take ACP. I mean, you can ignore things in ACP. uh, exams are as easy as well you are prepared. So if you're well prepared, every exam looks easy. If you're not that well prepared, you have to put a lot of things on chance. Don't do that.
Yeah, I used to say it often. I don't say it now, but I used to say how difficult or easy the exam is depends on how religiously you have studied, and
Absolutely.
the importance is on the word religiously there. Okay, so
Absolutely.
any final tips for the PMI ACP participants?
Prepare well.
Mhm.
Have your Mike Griffith read at least 3 times. Uh, and yeah, I think it helps if you have already practiced agile in your professional life. But even if you have not done it, it's absolutely fine. You do not have to scramble for a lot of books. There is a lot of literature available. You can do that at your leisure.
Mhm.
But for the purposes of cracking this exam, stick to Mike Griffith. And yeah, I think that should do the trick.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Amrish. Thanks for taking the time out and adding value, sharing your knowledge. I'm pretty sure this is going to help a lot of our community members that are aiming for the PMI ACP exam. So, thanks for taking the time out. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate it.